The VAR Show. The one place for your weekly football update.
Hola, very warm welcome to the VAR show, the show which talks about all the various major football leagues in detail. Today we are going to go into the theme of interviews, and we have a very interesting guest with us today. We have former professional soccer player who has played for the likes of Hamburg, Portland Timber, FC St. Pauli to name a few. We have Ian Paul Joy with us. So without wasting much time, I would like to first thank Ian for coming on the show. Thank you so much and welcome to our show. And I would like to begin by asking you, how are you and what are you doing during this pandemic period?
Well, thanks very much for the introduction, and thank you as well for asking how we're doing. Everyone's doing very well. My family's all doing well. It's been a strange time here in America, and a lot of interesting things have been happening, obviously, since the pandemic took place. But I've been on lockdown in Los Angeles with my family, which has been very nice. And to be honest with you, it's been a small blessing for me because it's given me an opportunity to slow down from work, the crazy time that I normally am used to, traveling and working at games. It's nice to be at home with my family for a while and just maybe have a new appreciation for life. So everyone's doing very well. How about yourself? Everything good over there?
Yeah, it's good here. It's quite good compared to most of the world, but the cases are ramping up in the past few days. So it's it's the same thing for everyone, but luckily there have not been many deaths. So I have to count my country very grateful for that. Yep. So let's see what happens. So now moving on to a lighter topic, that is football in comparison to what's happening all around the world. So I'll jump straight in, like from Tranmere Rovers in your youth team to Portland Timbers, I think your last team, to punditry. How has the journey been for you?
It's been a crazy journey. It really has been. I left home when I was 15 years old and I moved to Tranmere Rovers and did my youth apprenticeship for about 2.5 years. Then sort of struggled to get into the first team. So I left and went back to Scotland and played professional for the first time in my career at Montrose, which was like lowest level in Scotland possible. But I got first team football, which was good. And then the journey through teams was interesting because obviously you need some luck, you need some fortune, you need to be playing well, and you need to stay healthy. And I had a real problem throughout my career trying to stay healthy. I was always getting injured, always hamstrings. I think I tore my hamstring like 30 times throughout my career, which was not nice. But I managed to beat the odds and play over 200 games in league football, which was very important to me. And the majority of that success was in Germany. I went over to Hamburg at first and then moved to St. Pauli, which I had my greatest experience in football. Won a German title there, went on and had a great cup run. We made it to the semi-final of the cup, got knocked out by Bayern, and those were like great experiences. I made a decision to go to Major League Soccer. Personal reasons made me leave Germany, but it was a decision that was also going to benefit me for the next step in my career because throughout the 14 years of my professional career, I knew that I wouldn't be able to relax after soccer. I had to work. And my plan was always to get into media in some way. And that happened very fast. I had 1 year of nothing where I was working on some small businesses that I had bought. And really enjoyed that. It was smart to learn the business side of things. But then when my opportunity came to get into television, it happened extremely fast. And it's been 8 years since that started. So going from beIN Sports to Fox Sports and covering the Bundesliga, which was always a dream for me, has been incredible. And the journey continues, man. I'm very blessed, very lucky. I know I'm good at what I do, so I have a lot of confidence. But what's more important to me is that whatever I do, I'm passionate behind it. I have to have all my energy, all my desire, and all my passion has to be there. And television gives me exactly that. So it's been a wild ride, but I'm enjoying it so far.
So, this question was not planned. I just sneaked it in with your answer. you have experienced, as you said, a lot of hamstring problems. So, like if you had to give someone, maybe a young player who is starting out, some maybe advice about how you went through, what would that be about hamstring injuries, or maybe how to prevent it?
That's a great question. And you know how I answer that is many times when I'm working out now, I always say to myself, I wish I knew back then what I know now. Because I would have dealt with my body, with my diet, stretching, mental health. Everything would have been dealt with a lot better. And I have 3 children, 1 boy and 2 girls, and I will be able to share my experience with them. And for younger players who are obviously learning now, my word of advice would be to look after number 1, which is yourself. Look after your mind, your mental health. Try to find some sort of confidence in there and belief, because when you're young, you lack a lot of confidence. You're always trying to prove to people how good you are. You're always trying to show people, how special you can be. Whereas if you just are passionate about something that you love, your natural talent will show naturally. It will come through regardless. Definitely the diet is so important. Eating the right foods. Didn't do that when I was younger. I was eating a lot of carbs, a lot of sugars, and I shouldn't have done that. It's only when I retired that I really started to focus on my body more. And I obviously did go through a lot of doctors to find out why I was having these hamstring injuries. And in Germany, they made me take out my wisdom teeth because they thought it was connected to my teeth. So I had to take all my wisdom teeth out, but I still kept on having the injuries. So I think at the end of the day, the advice I would be giving is control your mental health. Calm, relax, make sure you're meditating, make sure you're doing lots of yoga, lots of stretching. I mean, fitness is everything. If you can work with a personal trainer, great. If not, look on YouTube, find some great videos. Make sure you're building your body strength from everywhere, from your head to your toe. Everything matters. What you put into your body, you will get back out in soccer. And, I was held back from reaching the highest level because of injury. And because of that, I missed out on some amazing experiences. And I missed out on a lot of money. And I missed out on all this opportunity. But it is what it is. And now I use my experience to help the next generation in any way I can. So I'm glad you asked that question.
So, you have played in so many different leagues, like maybe the lower divisions of England or Scotland or maybe Germany or MLS. So how was the difference in quality in the leagues and the culture of football in those leagues?
Yeah, when I first went to Tranmere, I was a schoolboy at Manchester United, and I was 15, and I think I was 14 at the time when I pulled my hamstring for the first time at Manchester United. And at that point, I was one of the better players at United. And I remember them telling me getting injuries at this age is not good for you. So immediately I started to panic, and I knew something was wrong. They immediately said, hey, we can't give you the contract you want because you're getting too many injuries. So I went to Tranmere, and the level at Tranmere was very good compared to Manchester United as far as youth teams go. The youth academies are excellent over in England right now. Very competitive. You can find youth academies that are lower division teams or Premier League teams very competitive, because around the area of the UK in general, there's a lot of talent there, and now there's restrictions as to how far you can travel to play and things like that. So the youth level was very competitive. Once you get into the pros, Scotland, I played at the lowest level. It was an amateur level, but I needed it because I wanted to play first team football. That was a very low level. But I enjoyed it, and I guess it's competitive because you're playing against grown men who want to fight you every week. So that was interesting for a young boy. But then I went to the lower levels in England at Kidderminster, and that was 2 steps up. I mean, it was fantastic, very professional. Training was very good. We had Jan Molby, who was the former Liverpool player, was my coach at Kidderminster. Out of this world, very, very good. Great human being. Training was excellent, and the level of play was very, very good. So between League 2 and around about the top of League 1, I didn't see much of a difference in quality, but the game was very, very high level. And then you jump to the Championship, which is another level. I mean, it's very fast, very competitive. Every game is 100 miles an hour. and they all mean something. And then, of course, when I went to Germany, it was a little slower, but the quality of technical ability was better. There was better players who enjoyed to have the ball. Passing was better. They were very aware of their positioning. Coaching was better. So I really enjoyed Germany more than anywhere else as far as coaching, development. I mean, I was at the right time because Germany had invested a lot of money into the youth structure. And there were some talented players coming through at that time who obviously went on to have success with the German national team in 14. So there's a big level in Germany going all the way up to the Bundesliga where they focus on talent, on technical ability, positioning, passing, shooting, crossing, skill. I mean, it is the highest level I really enjoyed there. And then, of course, I never got to the level, but if you go to the Premier League, it's the elite level. Playing in the top flight of the Bundesliga, playing in the Premier League, and even Italy and Spain now, top three in France. It's elite level. It's the best of the best. So there is definitely a structure going from the lower leagues, but no doubt in my mind, if you're playing in the lower leagues, you can make it to the highest level. You just have to have that technical ability and you have to have that mental strength to believe that you can actually make it. And you also need a little bit of luck on your side as well.
So, you were saying that you're moving from one team to other in England and Scotland in the lower leagues. Mm-hmm. And then how did Hamburg happen? It's not a route that usually happens, like going from there to directly Hamburg in Germany. How did that happen?
Not many people ask me that question because a lot of people see me playing in England and then the other people see me have been played in Germany. They don't really ask, how do you connect that? Well, first and foremost, I always wanted to play in Germany. It was a dream of mine. When I was a kid playing for the US national team, we went over to Germany and it was the same time when Borussia Dortmund won the Champions League in '97. And I watched Dortmund against Bayern Munich probably a month or two before that Champions League final. And I fell in love with the supporters, the game, the stadium. It was at the Westfalenstadion in Dortmund. The fans were incredible. And I just fell in love with it. So I knew that at some point in my career, if I could go and give it a chance, it would be a dream come true. So I was out of contract, believe it or not. I was playing at Kidderminster. And I got an offer from Major League Soccer. I was 21. I got an offer for Major League Soccer. I went to Columbus Crew and I failed a medical. And they found a problem with my knee. So the contract was then out and I had already cancelled my contract at Kidderminster. So I had no club. So for 6 months, I was training with Wrexham in Wales, which was the closest team to me just to keep fit. And I was contacting agents and reaching out to different countries where I wanted to play, and Germany was the main focus. So I got a reply from an agent in Germany asking if I would be interested in coming over. So I said to my parents, this is something I really want to try. They wanted me to stay in the UK, but they supported my decision to go and follow my dream. So a trial was set up for me at Hamburg, and I went to the second team who were playing in the third division, the Regionalliga at the time. And Thomas Doll was the head coach of the second team. Famous German player, East German guy, but played in Italy. Great experience, fabulous person. Great soccer player as well. And he signed me after 3 days. And it was the best experience. I signed for a year and a half. I stayed for a year and a half. But I always knew that I needed to play at a higher level, and St. Pauli was going to give me that chance from playing for the second team at Hamburg. And at that point, Hamburg first team was playing in the Champions League. They were very good, and the level was just too high for players to make that jump. And we had some international players playing at the first team, so I knew it was going to be too much of a jump for me. So I went to St. Pauli, and the city rival was an interesting move for me. But that's how Germany came about, and I'm glad it did because I spent 5 wonderful years in Germany, and obviously St. Pauli is in my heart forever now.
So I'll share with you one experience. And that will be a good segue to the next question. It's like I was in Barcelona for around 2 months for my diploma, okay, in youth coaching, and no one they spoke English. It was just Spanish. I knew elementary Spanish, but when you learn and when you go there, it's different.
Yeah.
So one day I went to an Irish pub, and it just when everyone was speaking English, it felt so good, like it's like, oh wow. So and for you it would have been even more difficult because you had to go and play daily. How big a barrier was language in Germany?
Well, when I went to Hamburg, the playing for the amateur side, they were all young boys. So they were all 20, 21, 22 years old. Everyone spoke fluent English. They all spoke English. The only person who didn't speak English was the head coach, was Thomas Dahl. He spoke no English. So when I first went there, the team wasn't playing very well. And then I started to play with the team, and we started to win games. And very quickly, we went to the top of the table when we were about to get promoted to the second division. And we started to lose a couple of games. So when everything's going well, the coach loves you. There's no problems. The boys are speaking English. I'm not even thinking at this point. I'm saying, maybe I'll learn some German. I don't really need to. Who knows how long I'm going to be here? And then we started losing games. And the coach was yelling at me in German, like screaming in the dressing room, complaining about whatever. And I had no idea what he's saying. So I'm just, I don't know what he's saying. So he, after two or three defeats, he pulled me out of practice and he told me, no more practice for you, no more games for you, you go learn German. He put me in school. So I went 4 hours every day for 1 month and I learned German in 1 month.
It's quite a difficult language to take over, I heard. I do not know, but okay,
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to our next question. Okay, it's about the national team. You have played in all the levels up to the under 23s for USA. And you were even the captain, I think, for the under 18s at World Youth Games. But this did not transcend to your senior men career. When you look back, what do you think went wrong?
Well, when I started playing for the US national team, I made the decision to go for USA over Scotland. My mom is Scottish. I grew up in Scotland from the age of 3 to 15. So I wanted to try Scotland, but then when the US national team came around, they asked me to go and practice with the 17s. And at that point, I was 15 years old. So I went, and I couldn't believe it. It was incredible. The level was very good. I knew that I was very good compared to them. So I was up there. But they had the nicest clothes. Everything was Nike. The coaching was good. It was a great feeling. They were traveling all over the world playing these games. And I thought, wow, what an experience. So, I always wanted to play for the USA because I was born in California. I wanted to play for the USA. It was in my heart. And I made the decision to go and play for the US 17s. But then my age group was going to be U18s. So when I turned 16, I left school. I went to the U18s and I was captain of the team. And they gave me 2 years of an amazing experience, traveling all around the world, playing in some great games. Obviously, as you mentioned there, I captained the team at the World Youth Games in Moscow, which was an amazing experience, even though the results wasn't good. And then I did jump to the U20s. But at that point, going to U18s to U20s, I changed. That was at the point in my career where I was going from Tranmere Rovers, couldn't quite get into the first team. I just couldn't make the breakthrough. So I jumped to Scotland. And at that point, playing in the lower levels in Scotland and then playing and captain in the US under 20 team wasn't quite working out for US soccer. They wanted me to play at a higher level. And of course I was trying, but it doesn't always work out. So the coach at the time told me I needed to play at a higher level to be involved with the U20s. So I did some camps, but then dropped out. And then I went to Germany and got involved with the U23s. But again, I wasn't playing first team football. I was playing at a lower level. So it wasn't what the US national team wanted. And I have to be honest, at that time, there were some camps where I didn't perform well. And that held me back. But I did have one training session when I was 17 years old with the full national team, and I impressed, and the guys, got to know the guys, and that was an experience I'll never forget. I was on my way to Slovakia with the U18s, and the US national team was in Austria to play against Austria in their national stadium, and I was there. I was training with the team, and I got to watch the game. Great experience. But that's one of the biggest regrets of my life. Some of the decisions I made in my club team, so going to Germany and then going from St. Pauli to MLS. You know, if I had stayed at St. Pauli and I went to the top Bundesliga, I probably would have had my opportunity at the full national team. These are all things that you can look back in hindsight, but the decision at the time, they were going against me from making that opportunity in the full national team. And being honest, you know, a lot of injuries. I wasn't playing at the level I wanted to be for a long time in my career outside of Germany. And that's what held me back from making the jump to the full national team. And if it wasn't for the injuries, there's no doubt I would have played a lot of times. But there was a very competitive US national team back in that generation as well. Some very, very good players there. And I wish I would have had my chance.
So, you know, like this next question might be a little bit difficult for you. And suppose when you look back now and you had to introduce yourself as a player, which club that you played for would you associate yourself with the most?
Well, I played the most games for St. Pauli, and that's where I had the greatest experience. That's where I had the fewest injuries as well. I was the happiest there up until the end. And of course, when you have success, when you win, when you're winning championships, when you're winning great games and earning good money and having these amazing experiences, that's what you remember the most. So St. Pauli is the team I associate myself with more than any other team. And I've played for some really good clubs. I mean, I love Portland Timbers and I love St. Pauli because of what the fans stand for, because of the culture, great people, great fan culture. Obviously, I'm recognizing that in Major League Soccer now with Portland Timbers. Everybody knows who they are. But at the time, I was playing in a lower level in the USL for them. But yeah, definitely St. Pauli more than any other team. But I still have communication with a lot of my teams. And, you know, Tranmere Rovers, I have a WhatsApp group chat with like 26 guys. I have a WhatsApp chat with my St. Pauli boys. There's 30 guys in there. And these are memories that will never leave me because of the relationships that we had there. And it's not always sometimes the things that you do on the field. Sometimes it's the things you do off the field. The memories that you make off the field is why you keep those relationships going. So, but definitely to answer your question, I mean, I'm a St. Pauli boy.
So, you know, like after your playing career, as you said, in the end of your career, you're picking up more injuries than maybe you would wished for. So, you know, like, did you ever consider getting into management?
No, I didn't. Management, I guess, is a two-part question. Coaching, no way. It's not my game. A lot of players make that jump into coaching because it's the easy step. I have had a lot of opportunity, but it wasn't for me. You know, I think you have to have a specific mindset to coach. You have to want to develop. You have to have patience to develop. You have to have a desire to coach. And it takes a special person to be a successful coach. Plus, you also have to remember, if you're coaching in the professional game, there's no loyalty anymore to any coach. You know, jobs are very difficult to get, and when you get them, they don't last long. You know, the average job now for a coach is probably less than 2 years. So there's no real stability there. So I didn't see my future doing something like that unless it was maybe US soccer for the youth national teams, helping the younger generation. That would have interested me. But management on the other side, on a business side, yes, it was something I was very interested in. Maybe general manager, technical director, helping on the business side as far as building a fan culture, building a brand. That's what really interests me since I stopped playing more than anything else. And that would be the only thing that would interest me going back into soccer.
So, you know, like after your playing career, you're involved with a lot of maybe with BN Sports and then Fox Sports. What is the best part of being a pundit?
Oh, you know what? Somebody's actually asked me that question before. And I'll tell you, you're either born with it or you're not. You're either a born entertainer or you just don't have it. I've worked with people that go in front of the camera, and when the red light goes on and the producer in your ear says go, they can't do it. They shake, they're not themselves, they change, they panic. I'm not like that. For some reason, it's just a natural thing for me. I was born to talk. I was born to communicate. I feel like I was born to entertain, and I love the fact that I had my playing career. But there was pressure, injury, mental state, trying to perform, trying to win, people telling me what to do, what to eat, how to feel, how to act, how to control my aggressive, don't get sent off. There was always someone telling me what to do. In this job, I can be myself. And this is where I feel I am 100% me. There's no doubts about it. As long as I'm working with a network that says, be yourself, do what you want to do, say what you want to say, as long as you're smart, then I know I'm in the right place. And, television, as soon as I started it, I just knew I had something. I knew I could do it. I was already preparing for that next step, like I told you earlier. So throughout my career, anytime I had a chance to go work in television or do a radio interview or do some sort of online interview, I did it. And that gave me a good position by the time I finished my career, because I'd already called maybe 50 games, or at least done a bunch of interviews. And I even was doing interviews in German when I was over in Germany. So the experience I already had. And once I got my opportunity, I wasn't going to let it go. And I knew I had a natural born talent to be in front of camera.
So, you have played and worked with a lot of big players and big names, maybe in terms of coaches or maybe players themselves. So have you ever been awestruck in the presence of some other person?
No, never. No, never. And I've worked with some big names. When I was playing, the game against Bayern Munich for St. Pauli was a big one for me, because we had a cup run, and it was special to the club. And Bayern Munich is for me one of the biggest clubs in the world. So their stars, you would think that when the game goes on, you're just starstruck and you can't concentrate. It's not like that. When the game goes on, it's just another game and you're trying to win. So that's how I felt. I mean, I'm sure other players are different, but for me, I just wanted to win. But at the end of the game, we lost to Bayern. It was last minute. It was just very, very lucky. But at the end of the game, I went over and I spoke to Philip Lahm at the end of that game. And I just said, hey, listen, I'm a huge fan of yours. We play in a similar position on the left back position. And I admire you greatly. This was 2006, 2007. So he hadn't won the World Cup, or, he was just sort of like halfway through his amazing career. And I asked him for his jersey, and we swapped jerseys. And I still have that jersey. It's hanging up here now. Actually, you know what? Stay there. I'm going to get it for you. All right, here you go. So this was Philip Lahm's jersey from the game that we played against them at the Midland Tour. They knocked us out. I think it was 2007. But these are memories that you get. And I have traded jerseys with a lot of players, but mainly players that I respect, not just because of their name, just a lot of friends and people who I respect on the field. Those are the people I've traded jerseys with. But definitely when I played against Bayern, I was like, well, if I get a chance, I got to go speak to Lahm because I want his jersey. And sometime I'm going to get this jersey signed. And most of my jerseys are with my family in Europe. But this one I keep with me everywhere because it's just a memory. Every time I see it, it brings me back to good times.
So with the experience you have had in your career, if you had to give some advice to a person just starting out his football career or her football career, what would that be?
As far as playing or as far as media?
You can give for both, actually.
I think young people who are starting to play, you have to realize that the hard work you put into it will give you a chance. If you have talent, and a lot of people have natural born talent, You don't have to work as hard as the other guys. I wasn't as talented as some of the people I played with, so I had to work harder. But I could have worked even harder than I did do. So making sure you're looking after your body with the diet, the mental state, but also the fitness. The fitness is everything. If you're fitter than every other player on that field, you give yourself a great advantage. So work hard at practice. Every single day you should be doing something, but also making sure that when it comes to game time, you put yourself in a position to win by being physically prepared, mentally prepared, and have fun. You have to have fun. If you don't have fun, and that's what I did do in my career, I had fun. You know, every time I went out to play big games, when I played Bayern, I was laughing, I was having fun, I had a smile on my face. Memory I'll never forget, like those cherished moments. I had fun during all of them. The only time I didn't have fun was when I was injured, but I had a smile on my face every training session, and you have to really enjoy it. And your hard work and your natural talent will give you a very good chance. As far as media is concerned, people can work hard at it. People can, even if you don't have a natural talent in front of camera, you can work on it and you can give yourself a chance. Now there's every platform possible for people to make a name. You can have yourself a big network. You can work on a big radio station. You can work on a big digital platform, or you can have your own podcast, your own social media platform. You can create your own brand. All you need to do is just be positive, be confident, be clear, and then always never look at the numbers. Don't look at how many people have viewed it. Don't care, because at some point, if you're putting out good content, people will like it, people will share it, and your numbers will grow naturally. And that's the same for any product in the world. As long as you're putting out a good product there, eventually people are going to start to love it and share it, and you'll get a big following. So believe in yourself and be confident.
So last piece of advice that you said about the numbers, I think I have to take that into my mind also. So on that note, I'll ask you one final question. Whom do you prefer, Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo?
Ooh, a question I like seeing asked to everybody, because it's always interesting to see who people choose, right? I mean, I think Lionel Messi is the most technically gifted footballer I have ever seen. I don't see anyone being close to him. Even Ronaldo. Technically gifted, I have to say Lionel Messi is the best I've ever seen. But Cristiano Ronaldo, as far as an athlete is concerned, nobody's been close to him. I mean, how fast he runs, how high he jumps, the technical ability he has doing overhead kicks. I mean, he is a genius. They both are geniuses in their own right. But if I had to choose one to be on my team in a five-a-side, I would take Lionel Messi.
So on that note, Ian, Paul, Joy, thank you so much for talking to me, and I hope you with all the best and all the wishes for your future endeavors. That is for your whatever you do, your businesses. You said, are they still running? Do you still look after the businesses you were doing after playing? Okay,
no. With TV now, there's just no time to look after it. And as soon as I got into television, I knew I had to stop it. But it was fun while it lasted for a year or so. But now all focus is on television. And I'm moving from Fox now. I'm moving from Los Angeles to New York and starting some new projects that I've always wanted to do. And as you know, working in media, there's a lot of opportunity out there. And you just have to go get it, go make it happen. Make sure you're working on something you really want to do, and then you can make it a success.
So I wish you all the best for that, for whatever you do, and hope we can talk again soon in the future. Thank you so much for talking to me. Have a good day.
My pleasure.